Do you have any kids?
Yes, I have 4.
4 kids. Same dad?
No.
How many dads?
3.
Do you have any kids?
Yes, I have 4. Yes.
Are they all by the same man?
No.
How many men?
3.
Gemini, you have any children?
Yeah, 5.
5 kids. All by the same man?
No.
How many men?
5.
I have 7 kids, 7 different baby daddies. Yeah, 7 different baby daddies. I heard it. You heard it right here. 7 different baby daddies, 7 kids. Had my first child at age 14. Yeah.
Oh, what's up? Hey, y'all. My name is Asia. I'm a 29-year-old mom of 6. Well, now 7. I just overcame being homeless, and a bitch just found out she's expecting again. By my new baby daddy. Make some noise.
Brush your teeth, fix your hair. Okay, love you. Bye. Hey, you too. Cut it out.
So I came to buy some pastries for the kids.
Spend a day with a single mama of 8 kids. Come spend my 8 hours of freedom with me. I usually start my day off by getting ready as soon as I put my kids out and on the motherfucking buses. And one of my kids thought it was okay to get suspended off the bus.
So I got these pastries from, that's the name of it, Aurora.
Hey y'all, this your girl Peter Weed coming back with another video, and you know I keep it peace. O'clock said tea. I got it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Okay, y'all.
The modern woman keep asking the same question: why are men opting out of dating? And what they tell themselves is always the same buzzwords: fear of strong women, commitment issues, misogyny. But none of that explains what men are actually seeing. And today, we're going to talk about one pattern that keeps coming up again and again: women having kids for multiple fathers. A pattern most people refuse to name, but men absolutely notice. If you stick with me to the end of this video, I am going to break down the cause and effect behind this pattern, what creates it, why it keeps repeating, and why men are responding the way they are. If this conversation matters to you, do me a favor, like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear this perspective, turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next, and subscribe to the channel. We'll talk about the things most people avoid. Alright, let's get into it.
How many kids do you have? I know you have a son.
I have 5.
All by the same man?
Absolutely not.
What's wrong with having kids by the same man?
Absolutely nothing. We just don't. Absolutely nothing. Unfortunately, that just was not what panned out, and the choices that happened at the time. 5.
You mentioned kids. How many kids do you have, baby girl?
I have 4.
Okay, all by the same man?
No, ma'am.
How many men?
3.
Do you have any kids?
Yes, I have 3.
All by the same man?
No.
How many men?
3 different men.
Do you have any kids?
I do.
How many kids?
I have 4.
All by the same man?
Mm-mm.
How many men? 3.
I got 3. I got a 10-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 4-month-old.
Do they all have the same dad?
No, I got 3 baby daddies.
Do you have any children?
Yes, I have 7.
You really have 7 kids?
Yeah.
You gave birth to 7 kids?
Yes.
You're 33 years old?
Yes.
But how many men? Why are you not with that man? Are you with him? You're married?
No, I'm engaged to a different person.
Okay, you have 7 kids by somebody else and you're engaged. So why are you calling me?
Because my engagement is going left instead of right.
And all these kids are by the same man?
You can say that.
No, I want to know Amina, honey, I don't got time to play these grown-ass games with you, okay? So you have 7 kids. Are they all by the same man or not?
Some of them are.
How many men do you have kids by?
5.
So how did you tell me all your kids were by one man?
Fucking you.
Do you have any kids?
Rage quit.
I do. Brace yourself. I have 7 children.
Are they all by the same man?
No.
How many men?
5.
How many kids do you have?
I have 7.
You have 7 children?
I
How old
do.
are you?
I'm 34.
Are they all by the same man?
The last 4, yes.
Why you not with this man? Because you got a 4-year-old, 2 3-year-olds, and a 1-year-old.
Long story. When I met him, I didn't know he was married until I got pregnant. And that's when I found out he ended up.
How long did you date him before you found out he was married?
A year.
Okay, so that means you had 4 kids by him knowing he was pregnant. Married, correct?
After I found out.
And do you have any children?
Yes, I have 5.
All by the same man?
No.
How many men, babies, girls, do you have kids by?
3.
3. Do you have any kids?
Yes, I have 7.
You have 7 kids, really?
Mm-hmm.
7.
So you put 7 kids out of your vagina?
The last one I had a C-section, but yes.
By how many men?
3.
Do you have any kids?
Yes, I have 4.
4 kids. Same dad?
No.
How many dads?
3.
Do you have any kids?
Yes, I have 4. Yes.
Are they all by the same man?
No.
How many men?
3.
Gemini, you have any children?
Yeah, 5.
5 kids. All by the same man?
No,
How many men?
5.
Why are you not with the 3-year-old dad?
He was a friend and we just kind of had sex and that was it.
Okay,
It wasn't supposed to be a pregnancy.
Why are you not with the 4-year-old dad?
My 4-year-old's dad is a celebrity and he's a deadbeat, so that's why.
Do you want to share the name?
Carl Thomas.
Do you have any kids?
3.
How old are your kids?
7, 3, and 4.
7, 3, and 4, all by the same man?
Hell no.
How many men?
Everybody got their own daddy.
Everybody. You get a daddy, you get a daddy, you get a
It's
daddy.
disgusting.
We all get a daddy.
We all get a daddy. Okay. Akandria, how old are you?
23. Don't look like that.
Baby girl, what's going on?
Life, running into the wrong people.
Why you not with the 3-year-old dad?
Her daddy was a one-night stand. I just happened to get.
How many children, Diamond?
I got 6, Kendra.
How many children's dads do you have? Just one?
I got 6, Kendra. I gave every man I loved a baby.
So you have 6 children by 6 men?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you married to one of their fathers right now?
No.
Hell no.
Hell to the no.
Hell to the no.
You must got some fire vagina.
I got some good cooler counter, Miss Kendra. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, so you gave birth to 6 children?
I gave birth to 6 kids. 4 of them was adopted out to other people.
Oh my God.
And I ended up getting 2 more. I had 2 more and I got custody of those.
Oh,
Yeah, ma'am, Miss O'Kenny, you so nosy, Miss Kendra. Look, I used to be on cocaine a long time ago. I got 13 years clean. Pats on my back.
how old is your child?
I got a 2-month-old, a 1-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 12-year-old, and 11-year-old.
How old are you, Alana?
Cooked.
I'm 35.
Are all your kids by the same man?
No, 3 different fathers.
Why you not with the dad that you had a baby with 2 months ago?
He has a gambling problem, really bad.
Why you have a baby by him?
He was not
He's
like
rough.
that at first.
Do the 2-month-old and the 1-year-old have the same dad?
No, they have different fathers.
That is fucking disgusting.
Why you not with the man you had a baby with a year ago?
Because he was abusive. He was abusive.
Why you have baby by all these men that have these drastic issues?
They were not like that when I first started dating them. They were nothing like that. Like
So
they were totally different.
All these issues appeared after you had children.
Yeah.
This too is false.
Yes.
How many kids?
3.
All by the same man?
No.
How many men?
3.
You can tell when a woman has different baby daddies. The kids be looking like friends.
What we're looking at here is not just a trend, it's a pattern. And honestly, it's a menace, especially in the Black community and increasingly across parts of Africa. Sociologists have a name for it. It's called multiple partner fertility. I'll be real with you. I didn't know the term either until, I started working on this video. But once you understand it, you can't unsee it. So let's be clear about definitions before emotions kick in. Multiple partner fertility simply means this. That is when one parent, usually the mother, has children with multiple partners over time. Let's talk about the outcomes. That's where things get ugly. Across clip after clip, the same structure keeps repeating. 5 children, multiple fathers, 7 children, 5 fathers, children with men who later disappear or were never available to begin with, baby fathers in prison, relationships that are sequential and not stable. This is not bad luck. This is repeat decision making. Some will argue it's reverse polygamy. That phrase sounds clever, but it's technically wrong because traditional polygamy, historically speaking, had structure. One provider, clear responsibility, defined roles, stable households, whether people like it or not. But what we are saying today is something else entirely. This is serial monogamy plus repeated reproduction. There is no coordination, no shared accountability, There is high conflict, fragmented household. That's not empowerment. It is disintegration of the family structure. And here's the part people don't like hearing. These women are not having children with random men. They're having children with the same small subset of men. The same Pookies and the same Ray Rays. Different kids, same type of guy. I wouldn't be shocked if all the kids are siblings. And yet somehow we're supposed to pretend this has no consequences. So let me ask a very simple question. Why would a sane man voluntarily step into this? Because here's the irony. Many of these women still see themselves as a 10, still see themselves as highly desirable, still believe they are marriage material. They show up on these dating sites or apps saying things like, I don't really need a man, we're a package deal, any man who wants me has to accept my kids. Some even say they are celibate after 6 or 7 children. The confidence is impressive. The self-awareness, well, not so much. And this is what men say, but rarely say out loud. When a man enters that situation, he's not joining a family. He's joining unfinished business, other men's decisions, other men's exits, other men's unresolved responsibilities. And men are increasingly saying, no thank you. Not out of hate, but out of risk management. Because for men, commitment is not emotional, it's structural. When a man commits, he risks legal responsibility, financial responsibility, emotional responsibility, long-term obligation. So when he sees a pattern of instability, he doesn't moralize it. He models the future and walks away. And women call that misogyny, where men call that self-preservation. So if you've watched to this point, kindly like the video and subscribe to the channel to get more videos like this.
I don't need no man to make nothing happen. A man is just like luxury, like a bag. Yes.
How old's your baby?
3. I have twins.
You have 3-year-old twins?
Yeah.
Why you not with their dad?
Oh, it's crazy.
Who's crazy?
He was crazy. He was like a bad relationship for like 3 years.
Why you have kids by him?
I was young. Well, I'm still young. I'm 25.
Are the twins your only children?
No, I have 5 children.
You really have 5 children?
Yes, I did.
How old are your kids, honey?
I have a 6-year-old. I have twins. They're 3. I have a 1-year-old, and I have a 2-month-old.
Shariah.
2-month-old.
Yes, I
Oh
do.
my
Are they all
God.
by the same man?
3 of them. Yes.
Shariah, I want to stop there for a second because you have 5 children. You have a 2-month-old, a 1-year-old, 3-year-old twins, and a 6-year-old. And the kind of guy you described, he gotta have something going for himself. And I
Wow.
understandably so. That's the kind of guy I think everybody wants. Well, what would you say to the man that is concerned? Because you do have 5 kids and you have 4 kids under the age of 5. Sometimes there's judgment, but let's have a real talk with love. A real talk with love. What would you say to the man that is concerned? Because you do come with a lot that somebody will have to accept.
Concerned about what?
You serious?
Baby girl, you have a 2-month-old, a 1-year-old, 3-year-old twin. Any man that's going to join life with you has to be willing to pay for you and your... Okay.
My kids are well taken care of.
Okay.
I don't need nothing from
Look at
no
the
one
attitude.
from my children.
Woo.
If I'm talking to someone, I'm talking to them for me. When I say you have to accept me, meaning you have to accept that I come along with children. I feel like people are so judgmental of people who have children or people who are young with multiple kids. Because I make it happen. I don't need no man to make nothing happen. A man is just like luxury, like a bag. A man is luxury, not meaning sex or nothing like that, but it's extracurricular activity. I don't need you to pay for shit or do shit for the kids until we make it there.
Do you have any kids?
5.
All by the same man?
No, I have 3 fathers of my children.
Okay. Have you ever been married?
Yes.
When did you get divorced?
I'm working on it. He's incarcerated, but don't want to divorce me.
Child, wait a minute. How long you been in jail for?
He actually been locked up since October of 2015. He's in a federal prison.
You have any kids?
Yes, I have 4.
All by the same man? So
I have three fathers.
But yeah, I have 7 kids.
how many men?
6.
That's nasty.
By 6 men. Have you ever been married?
No, I've been proposed to, but never been married.
That's
I'm gonna just be honest with you. To be honest, I just don't need to have no sex because I've got pregnant with the depot, and then this little TMI, but I got that pussy gripper. So yes. So my best bet is I just don't need to have no sex till I get married and get some stability.
I
I
want to make
believe
sure I
him.
understand. I want to make sure I understand. Just,
Celibacy,
just, just
Get them
curious.
kids'
celibacy, and
hands in the
then
dirt.
You said
marriage. You know,
what? You said
celibacy.
cel. Wait, what you said you're celibate now? So you're a mom of 7 by 6 men,
The plan. I'm 39.
39. What you do for a living?
39.
I
She's
do have
younger.
a side. I'm not employed. I'm not on nobody's clock.
How you pay your bills?
I get child support.
All right, so what reduces multiple partner fertility? The data is very clear. Multiple partner fertility drops sharply when stable relationships exist before children, when economic conditions are predictable, when family planning is intentional. In other words, structure reduces chaos and stability reduces fragmentation. And here is a big one. This pattern will not stop until child support is no longer automatically paid to women and men are given a real say in paternity. Because if a woman alone can decide to get pregnant and keep the child, then a man must also have the right to decide whether he will assume legal and financial paternity. Responsibility cannot be one-sided. Choice must come with accountability. You cannot give one party total reproductive authority and then force the other into lifelong obligation without consent. That imbalance is exactly what incentivizes reckless fertility decisions and serial baby daddy situations. True fairness means equal choice or equal responsibility. What we don't have in these modern times is structure, and that's why we have all of this chaos out there. Men are not confused about dating today. They are cautious for very good reasons. Because when a man commits, he doesn't just date, he inherits history. And men are asking one very rational question. If stability mattered before, why am I being asked to supply it now? That question doesn't come from bitterness, it comes from clarity. So men are choosing something radical in today's culture. Peace over performance, clarity over chaos, self-preservation over obligation. That is not men hating women. That's men refusing to walk into collapsing structures and then getting blamed when they fall apart.
I had an abortion this year. I talked to 3 niggas in jail. I was drinking pregnant, but I didn't know. I had 3 niggas this year. I went to jail. I had a nigga down in jail. I hit a nigga with my car. I pulled up to my nigga side bitch house, beat his ass, then went to work a 12-hour shift. All them 3 niggas had a key to the house. I got out of jail and got a DUI 2 weeks later. I became an alcoholic and got kicked out of school. I stayed with a nigga after he cheated on me in jail.
This year did not make me stronger. It just made me too tired to tolerate bullshit. Everybody's posting their highlight reels right now, so I figured I'd share mine. But no aesthetic montage bullshit, no slow piano music, just the real accomplishments of a middle-aged Black woman who finally stopped gaslighting herself. First and biggest accomplishment, I chose my motherfucking self. I have been with my husband for 16 years, married for 13 of those 16, and this year I finally admitted quietly, calmly, oh, this is not what partnership is supposed to feel like. No blow up, no dramatic exit, just clarity and the courage to stop ignoring it. I started learning about patriarchy, about emotional labor, about how women are trained to shrink and call it being supportive. And instead of shrinking again, I chose myself.
Let's talk about this clip. Every year, social media rolls out a new highlight reel. This one right here is tagged Boss Babe 2025, empowered, independent, thriving. This clip is not a glow-up story, it's a year in review of chaos. These women have arrest, they have a DUI right after getting out, they have legal trouble stacked on legal trouble, and in between court dates, multiple romantic partners, overlapping relationships, infidelity, domestic confrontations that spill into public view, and the list goes on and on and on. And these women are so proud of their achievements for 2025. This is crisis management Seriously. And then comes the social abuse, the substance abuse. Alcohol is not just present, it's running the show. So much so that school doesn't survive it. Dismissed, not paused, not deferred, but dismissed. Now, let's pause right here because this is the part men notice. From a male perspective, this is not a bad year. This is a system. Unstable lifestyle, unstable relationships, unstable decision making. And yet, these women with these profiles often pair the expectations of emotional safety, financial stability, patience, leadership, and long-term commitment from a man. They actually want a man to take them on with all of these baggages. You see, men are not confused by this. They are not intimidated by strong women, in quotes. They are doing the math. Because when a man commits, he doesn't just sign up for affection, he signs up for liability. He signs up for legal risk, for financial exposure, emotional labor, reputational damage. A man doesn't enter a relationship like this thinking, I can fix her. No, he thinks, how fast does that become my problem? This is why men are walking away, not loudly, not angrily, but quietly. Because patterns like this signal instability. They are big red flags, and men are punished for ignoring red flags. What social media and these women call living my truth, men experience as future fallout. And that's the disconnect. Modern dating is not failing because men hate women. It's failing because men are being asked to provide order inside lifestyles built on disorder. So when men say they are opting out, this is what they are opting out of. Not love, not partnership, but becoming the cleanup crew for someone else's year-long wreckage while being told to smile and call it empowerment. So, when men step back from dating, this is why. Not because they are bitter, not because they are broken, but because they are being asked to inherit systems they did not create and then blamed when those systems collapse. Men are not opting out of women. They are opting out of the chaos that women have caused. They are choosing clarity over confusion and peace over performance. And until dating rewards stability instead of excusing dysfunction, this quiet exit is not going to stop. If this perspective made sense to you, subscribe to the channel because this channel is about telling the part of the story most people avoid. No rage bait, no pandering, just the reality men are navigating every day. And that conversation is not going anywhere. See you in the next one.